And thank you for joining us for our Zoom into Careers. We have with us representatives from the U.S. Navy Talent Acquisition Onboard Center today, and presenting information and sharing excellent information with you will be Chief David Slipher. He is the medical recruiter, as well as Dusty Galbraith, who is a Navy recruiter. And I hope I did not butcher their names. So if they don't mind repeating their names, I would appreciate it.
All right.
I'll turn it over to you all.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Christy Ferris, who is also an officer recruiter, is with us today as well. And she will be answering questions during the Q&A session. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for having us. Again, so my name is Ensign Dusty Galbraith, and this is Chief David Slipher. So I'm a General Officer Programs Recruiter here in the Memphis area. We cover all the way over towards Little Rock, Arkansas, all the way over to Nashville, down south, all the way over to Ole Miss University, and then up as north as Arkansas State University. So today we just want to give you a little bit of information about a few of the programs that we offer. So I'm going to be talking to you about a few of the general officer programs, and we'll get into the PowerPoint in just a second. And then Chief will talk to you a little bit about some of the medical programs that we offer as well. Lieutenant Junior Grade Ferris is the one who's monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions throughout this presentation, feel free to either jump on and ask me directly, or you can throw it in there and we can answer them at the end. So before we start talking about the program specifically, I kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of information about some of the general benefits that you get for being a military member in the Navy. So some of the things other than just being military in general, if you guys don't know, some of the big benefits that we have are medical and dental. So we have a program called TRICARE that's shifting over to Humana for some of the regions. That is our medical insurance. So it covers pretty much everything that you need and some elective surgeries if that's something that you want to look into for any military member, along with their spouses and dependents. So children, or if you have an adult dependent like your parent or something like that, it covers them as well. As far as dental goes, we have United Concordia. That covers pretty much anything that we need dental as well. So some other benefits that we have as far as general everyday things, we have access to every military base, every United States military base around the world, to include their access to their grocery stores, what we call commissaries, their department stores, which we call the Navy Exchange, and it's all tax-free stuff. So if we go there, we pay for what we need and we don't get charged taxes. What are some other things that you can think of?
That pretty much covers it.
Pretty much covers it. I mean, we do have other benefits that are not as widely known. As far as like travel goes, we have some access to discounted things as far as tickets go. But that's pretty much it. I mean, if you have any other questions about just general benefits, feel free to ask the questions and we'll dive into the presentation. Hopefully you are seeing it on your computer. So officer programs. So we have what we call the Big Four. Active and reserve general officers. I'll get more into the general and medical side of it. And then obviously active and reserve medical. So active literally just means that you're going active duty, where this is your everyday job, working whatever your hours are going to be, doing your job. And then the reserve side is what people like to think of as the 2 weekends a month, one week in the summer. And then
1 week in a month, 2 weeks.
What did I say?
Opposite,
sorry. Yeah. All right, so some of the general officer programs, the ones that I'm going to talk to you the most about are going to be the aviation programs, and then the nuclear options, along with the surface warfare officer. So listed below are all of the different programs that we have for general officer. There's a couple more slides, but pilot and NFO are two of the ones that we are looking for the most right now, along with the other two that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. So for pilot and NFO, some of the basic requirements is you have your degree, at least an undergrad degree in pretty much anything, and then for you to be able to take a ASTB, the Aviation Selection Test Battery. If you know anything about military, you've probably heard the term the ASVAB. That's a test that civilians will take to join on the enlisted side. For officers, we have something called the OAR, the Officer Aptitude Rating, and then for the aviation students, we have the ASTB, Aviation Selection Test Battery. It includes things as far as the OAR, so everything that the OAR includes, the pilots and NFOs will take those on top of the aviation specific stuff. So for each one of those programs, the numbers are a little bit different depending on which program that you're going for, and we can give you more information about that if that's maybe something that you're interested in. So obviously pilot, everyone knows kind of what a pilot is. They're the ones who are flying the plane, putting it into positions wherever they need to go. They're the ones who are handling everything. Now, as far as the NFOs, the Naval Flight Officers, there's a little bit more into that career path than what most people think. When people think Naval Flight Officer or Navy Flight Officer, they just think of pilot, but it's a little different. So the NFO is more of the co-pilot, the mission commander on board the plane. He or she will be in charge of all of the navigation systems, weapon systems, pretty much anything that doesn't involve the joystick that's flying the airplane itself. 9 times out of 10, the NFOs will have final weapons release authority, and they're really just the ones who are pretty much in charge of the airplane, in charge of the mission, and then the pilot is the one who's positioning the airplane to do whatever that mission is. You have anything to add on pilot NFO?
No, that's it.
Okay. So we're going to move on. So some of our business and legal, so we have Human Resources Officer, JAG Corps. I'm going to let you do the reading on some of the other ones. So I want to put something out there for the JAG Corps. So if you are interested in law school or maybe the JAG program specifically, there are specific recruiters that you would need to go to. So feel free to reach out to us if you have questions about that, and we can put you in with the right people. We, as general officer recruiters or medical recruiters, we do not deal with the JAG people specifically. But if you do have questions about that, feel free to reach out to any of us, and we can get you the answer that you need. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. So engineering and applied science. So civil engineer corps is pretty much what it sounds like. You'll be working in the civil engineer field. Surface warfare officer, that's the next one that I really wanted to talk about a lot. It's one of the main officer programs that we offer because of how many people make up this option. So as you can see, it's in the engineering and applied sciences, and then also has its own little section for specialty options. So a surface warfare officer is pretty much the generic officer for the surface community. So when you see commercials about the Navy and you see all the ships that are going through the water, there are surface warfare officers on there running that ship. It's a big program that we like to try and put out there because of the ability for change. If there's someone who may not know what they want to go into specifically, or maybe it's someone who gets stir crazy, likes change in their life, SWO is a very good way to go, mainly because there's interchangeability. So if you go and do your first tour on a ship and you find something that you really like, so for any military, any Navy specific job that you go to, there are qualifications that you have to do in order to do your jobs. You know, they want to make sure that you are knowledgeable enough and technically sound to be able to perform your duties on whatever platform that you are on. So during those qualifications, as a SWO or as a surface warfare officer, if you find something that you actually like, as for example, the engineering duty officer option, informational professional, oceanography, or information warfare, you can actually specialize in those. So, and what I mean by specialize is you can essentially change from just a generic SWO to someone who has that specialty, and that is the job that you're going to do. So we can bring people into the Navy as an informational warfare, as an oceanographer, as an IP, or as an EDO, but they don't do the SWO stuff. So they don't get that opportunity to kind of branch out and do those things. So SWO is definitely a great option. If you have questions about it, please feel free to ask at any point. Now going into the information warfare community, this is an up and coming community. So it's been there for a long time, but I mean, I feel like anyone who has access to the television or news networks or anything like that, you can tell that the way that warfare is being fought is changing. So it's becoming more of cyber warfare, information warfare. It's crazy thinking about that kind of stuff. So this community is really kind of booming right now. We're looking for a lot of people who are willing and excited, motivated to get into that program and try and help us out as best as we can. On the bottom side of the information warfare community is meteorology and oceanography, the METOC officer. So you could literally be a meteorologist or an oceanographer here for the Navy. That is huge for us because obviously we are driving ships out on the ocean and we need to be well aware of what weather, what storms are coming our way. Now the nuclear programs. So this is a big one. This one can affect someone who is not a senior or not graduating right away or already has their degree. This one specifically is very, very good program, and it can affect you all the way up to your second semester of your sophomore year. So if you're still in school, still got a ways to go, this program could be really, really good for you. If you're having issues with maybe paying for college, don't want to be in student loan debt, this one is a very good program. I'll give you a little bit more information about that as we go along in the program, or as we go along in the slideshow. There are a few different ones that are available as far as the program's subspecialties. So you have NUPOC, Nuclear Programs Officer, and then it has a few different subspecialties. So you have two different types of instructors. You have the Naval Reactors Engineer, and then you have submarines and SWO. That's why prior to this slide, it had SWO as an engineering specialty as well. Go ahead if you want to talk about.
So the focus for the medical programs is those pre-med students that want to go to med school or pre-dental school students. We have scholarships that'll pay for medical school or dental school. So anybody is in a pre-med or pre-dental type undergrad who's looking to go to med school, this is an option for you for scholarships. It's called the HPSP or HSCP. We have two programs there. And go ahead. Medical service course, if you're looking to get your master's in the healthcare administration, there's also scholarships for that. And if you're in a nursing program, I've got scholarships available for the third and fourth year nursing students. And we're starting those applications right now. So if you're in a nursing program looking for a scholarship to pay for years 3 and 4, we can assist with a $5,000 bonus and $1,000 a month while you're in school, and then a $5,000 bonus upon completion of school that arrives about 6 months after you've graduated.
Okay, so these are some of the programs that he was talking about. So there are a couple of different ways to commission as an officer in the Navy. There's student, direct accession, and direct commission. So students is really just that. It's a student program. We offer for the medical side, you got the HPSP, HSCP, excuse me. And then for the general officer side, we have things like the NUPOC program, we have the CEC program, and then I think we have one or two more where you're essentially being paid to go to school with that obligation after you graduate. Each program is a little different, and we'll get into a little bit of the specifics here in just a second. So the direct accession is a reserve program. So you directly assess into the reserves, and then direct commission is someone who is already completed with their degree and they want to go active duty. We direct commission them into the Navy. Okay, so as far as pathways and timeline, so there are a few things that you need to do as part of the application process. As far as paperwork goes, I mean, we have a lot of paperwork that we have you guys fill out. We fill out with you, and then there's a medical screening. So you have to pass the medical screening, which is done at a place called MEPS, the Military Entrance Processing Centers or stations. Those are the one in this area is over by the airport, the Memphis airport. You'll go there and get medically cleared. Once you're medically cleared, we submit your application through a few different processes, and then once you're selected, you go through something called OCS or ODS. So OCS is for the active duty side of the house, with the exception of a few. And then ODS is for the reserves or like restricted line course. So like medical side, the JAG side, chaplains, and then the nuclear instructors and engineers. So those are for like the professionals. We'll go through ODS and then just start their job. OCS is more of the fleet officers, the people who are going to go. It teaches them more so the Navy background, leadership, that kind of stuff, and then sends you off to your designator specific training. All of this is in Newport, Rhode Island. Okay, so some more information about the student program for the NUPOC. So like I said before, when you're within 2.5 years of your bachelor degree, so your second semester of your sophomore year, and a full-time student. The only things that we really have to have for you to be eligible for this program is that you need to have calculus, at least 1 year of calculus. So calculus 1 and 2 with at least a grade of C or better. And then a year of physics with a C or better as well. It's normally geared towards the STEM program officers or STEM program students. But say that your degree is in a different area, a different career path, but you still have those prerequisites of calculus and physics, then you could still be qualified for that program. A huge incentive for the NUPOC program is that while you're going through school, you would be enlisted in the Navy as an E6. What that means is you get all pay and benefits of someone who is active duty E6, to include everything that we mentioned before, where you get the medical, dental, access to bases, and then you are getting paid as an active duty E6 while you are just going to school. There's very few obligations while you're going through school. The only ones that I can think of off the top of my head is the PFA, so our physical fitness tests you'll take twice a year, and then obligation for a random year analysis if your name comes up. You have the ability to be promoted to E7 during this time. So if you have specific questions about how much money that is, it really depends on where you're located for the basic allowance for housing. But as far as base pay goes, you can Google what the military E6 pay grade makes in a month. It's generic. It's a salary-based system, so it's the same for everyone military-wide. It does change with how many years of service that you have, but that's getting more into it. But the way you get promoted to E7 is if you have a referral. That's a big thing for us in the military recruiting world, is referrals. That helps us out a lot. So if you get someone who refers into this program and they get assessed as far as being selected to the program, then you get advanced to E7. There's a few more. We're kind of starting to run short on time, but this is going to be available in the comment section. I think JG Ferris has already uploaded those. But if you have any questions about any of the other benefits, or if you just have questions in general, please let us know. Civil engineer is another one of our student programs. There's a couple of caveats for that one, but just let us know if you have any questions. Let me get through. All right. So we're going to open it up for questions. We have about 8 minutes left. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
So we do have one question right now. And the question is, am I able to pick which program I want to join, or is it selected for me?
So you are absolutely able to select which program that you want to join. That's a huge difference between the officer side and the enlisted side. So you have somewhat of a opportunity to select your job on the enlisted side, but it's more so of I'm going to give you a list of things and then you pick out of that. As an officer, you do the research, or we give you information about whatever program that you want. And then we start and end the process for that specific program. So let's say that you want to be a pilot. You come and you're like, hey, Ensign Galbraith, I want to be the next Navy pilot. I'm like, okay. And I start and end with that program. So we can put multiple programs on an application. Sometimes that's not necessarily a good thing because it shows the people at the board that you might not be as interested in one that you're going for. So it's normally a good thing to have one and go towards that program. But yes, you absolutely have a choice. If you go to www.navy.com, it has a career section, and it has enlisted and officer careers. If you go to the officer side of it, it will list every option that the Navy has as far as an officer career, and it will give you a brief synopsis of what that career is, like what you do. And there'll always be a video of people who are in the Navy now or just recently got out that explains kind of what they do in the Navy as that job. But yes, you do have the ability to pick.
Excellent. And we have another question. It says, what are the requirements to get into OCS?
To get into OCS, you have to be selected for a program. I didn't really talk about the selection program too much. So after the application is submitted, it goes to our boss over at Navy Recruiting Command here in Millington, and then it goes before a board. So each program has its own selection board, which is sat by people in that job, in that designator. So they'll come in there and your program or your application will be shown before them, and then they vote to make sure that they want you in their designator. Once you're selected, then you go to OCS. Like I said before, it's OCS or ODS, Officer Development School. So depending on which route is which school that you go to. But the requirement for you to go to OCS is a selection for a program.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
No problem.
We are about to wrap this session up. Does anyone else have one last question? Okay. Thank you so much to our presenters. We appreciate you taking the time to share the information with us this afternoon. And we would like to ask the students that if they have any follow-up questions, that they can send those questions to your career services representatives, and we will do our best to get those answered by our presenters. Thank you again, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
you too.